Time to start the meeting. We ready? Yep. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call the meeting of the Madison County Fiscal Court to order. Kenny?
Master King?
Here.
Master Barger?
Here.
Master Hughes?
Here.
Master Combs? Judge Clark?
Here. You all have had a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting. If there are no changes or discussion, a motion would be in order to approve those as submitted in your packets.
So moved.
Second.
Master King?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes. Treasurer's report, Glenna? And you all have copies of those, I think, in front of you.
I passed out the report, and as of August 31st, our balance was $4,980,479.79. And as of September 30th, our balance was $4,335,297.85. At this time of the year, we're a quarter way through our year. We should be around 25%. Our revenues for the general fund are at 14.8%, which we get most of our revenues at one time, so that's the reason that number is low. Our expenditures are at 19.9%. Road fund, the revenues are at 43.8%. Expenditures are at 16.9%. The jail fund revenues are at 32%. Their expenditures are at 25.6%. The CSEP fund, their revenues are at 7.8%. Their expenditures are at 8.4%. And the 911 fund, the revenues are at 25%, and the expenditures are at 16.5%. So all of our expenditures are running right on track or lower. Our CSEP fund is the only one that's got the revenues and expenditures reversed, and we're working on that right now. We're having trouble getting reimbursed from the state, so it's making us fund some of their stuff until we get reimbursed. Does anybody have any questions?
If not, thanks, Glenna. Okay, order of business, and I think first, do we have anybody from the Diabetes Emphasis Association? They talked about coming today, then maybe waiting to go to Berea. If not, then it's my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Webb, who is a frequent visitor of Madison Fiscal Court and does so many good things involving kids in the county. And she wants to come in, and I think we're going to do a proclamation on Red Ribbon Week, yes, Jennifer, today. So I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Well, Red Ribbon Week is the biggest national campaign that we have, and we actually share that with a couple of other really important causes. Of course, early in the month, you all recognize Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. But we try to put everything in these final 2 weeks of October. And Red Ribbon Week is just a way to raise awareness of substance abuse across the country. We see a lot of problems locally. I know that you guys are constantly talking about the number of people that are at the jail, funding to make sure we can accommodate everyone. And I think that we can say that our substance abuse problem feeds that. So just to give you an idea of what the problem's like in Kentucky, Governor Steve Beshear had said that approximately 1,000 people a year die in Kentucky of substance abuse, and the people who have sought treatment has risen 900% in a decade. So we really have a problem on our hands. Of course, a lot of the work that I have done has been centered around underage drinking prevention because, of course, drinking is the gateway to other substances. And just to give you an idea of what that problem is like, underage drinking in 2010 cost the United States $62 billion. And it's estimated that just last month in the United States, there were 10 million young people who drank underage, and most of those were binge drinking. So one of the newer studies that I read was really disturbing to me because it talked about how kids are starting to drink as early as 9 years old. That bothers me because I have a 9-year-old. and give you an idea of what a 9-year-old's thinking about, is my 9-year-old tells me every day he wants to be something different when he grows up. One day it's a stockbroker, the next day he wants to be the next 007. The day after that, he wants to be a Navy SEAL. The only thing consistent that he wants to do when he grows up is to have chest hair. So I tell you that, and if he were here, he would own it. He would tell you, yes, that is my goal in life. But I tell you that not to try to be funny, but just to give you an idea of how substances are threatening to corrupt the innocence of our youth. I just simply can't imagine a child my son's age thinking that it's okay to drink alcohol. Children who are as young as 6 years old, the typical child they know that alcohol is for adults. But whenever they get to be about 9, they start having a different attitude toward alcohol. In fact, 10% of 12-year-olds have already tried alcohol, and that number increases to 50% among 15-year-olds. So that's why it's very important to talk to kids early and often about alcohol use. So what Madison County Youth in Action has done is we've tried to create a campaign that would open up this discussion that you could have with kids, and we have created a campaign that targets multiple audiences. With 3 million full-blown teenagers or full-blown alcoholic teenagers in the United States, there's something that's not right. It's unlawful for children to drink, but there are adults who are buying it for kids. So that's why we have to target all audiences. We can't just talk to kids. We can't just focus on kids. We have to talk to adults. So we have this campaign that's called Stay in the Game. And we've created, part of the campaign is public service announcements. These are posters that we've created. We hired Mark Cornelson, who is a Lexington-based photographer. He actually works at the Lexington Herald. He used to work here at the Richmond Register years and years ago. These are student athletes from Madison Southern. Madison Central will also be featured. Their photos were taken yesterday. But the kids that were sent to be a part of this campaign were recognized by their coaches and the athletic director and school administrators as being drug-free and positive role models. So this is just one of the posters. And these posters will be featured in all of the middle schools, the high schools. The Telford YMCA has agreed to let us display these here. We're also going to put them up in some of the liquor stores. They've given us permission to hang them there. Our campaign also features law enforcement. This one here features all of the agencies that represent Madison County. There's the Berea Police Chief, the captain of the Post 7 Kentucky State Police, captain of RPD, captain of the EKU Police Department, and then a representative from the Madison County Sheriff Department. This is the soccer team from Madison Southern, football from Madison Southern. And this is one of our posters that are designed to target adults. If you aren't talking to your kids about alcohol, chances are I will. And then this is the same picture but a different message. If your parents don't catch you, we will. And then that is a sneak peek of Madison Central's photos. We also have permission to hang these here at the Madison County Courthouse. I'd like to thank you for that. And the idea is to build on this every year. Every year, hopefully, kids are going to want to be a part of this campaign. I think you can see from the pictures here that this isn't your average studio photography. So we're hoping that kids will set a goal every year to be selected to be mentors to their peers. So that's just a part of that campaign. And in closing, I'd like to ask the court to consider a social host ordinance. With funding, federal funding shrinking, I know this grant cycle that I'm on right now, the end of this year, this grant will be over. Federal government has already said this is the last year of this grant. We have to start looking more on a local level to be proactive. Social host ordinances just impose penalties on parents or property owners who have parties and they serve alcohol to minors. I know this was very popular whenever I was in school. In fact, there were parents who would say, well, we're just going to have a party, we're going to take everybody's keys, and we're going to serve alcohol. There's a bunch of problems associated with this. You know, number one, it's against the law to serve alcohol to a minor, and two, the health risk to minors. We've already seen that there's some scientific evidence that says that kids who drink early are more likely to become alcoholics as an adult. So with the court's permission, I do have I did bring a sample ordinance for you all to consider. I don't expect you all to even talk about it today. I just wanted to put this out on your radar as just another vehicle that we can educate parents that it's unlawful to serve alcohol to minors.
Jennifer, I think, and I read it in the paper about it, and it's something Mark really have to look into in depth as far as a lot of other things we'd like to do regulations on, but it's just the enforcement and things, Mark. So if you could look at this model ordinance and maybe get back with me and then get back to court and see if it's doable in Madison County.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. And I'll follow up on it. So we have the proclamation. I'll close. Do you want me to read the proclamation?
Yes, if you'd
Okay.
like.
Whereas alcohol and other substance or other drugs in the nation has reached epidemic stages, and whereas children face decisions about using alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs as early as their elementary school years, and whereas it is imperative that visible, unified prevention education efforts by community members be launched to eliminate the demand for drugs, and whereas it is the goal of Madison County Agency for Substance Abuse Policy and Madison County Youth in Action to involve families, schools, businesses, churches, law enforcement agencies, and service organizations in establishing an atmosphere that supports awareness, education, and ongoing initiatives to prevent substance abuse in Madison County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Kent Clark, Judge Executive of Madison County Fiscal Court, do hereby proclaim October 22nd through 29th, 2012 as Red Ribbon Week in Madison County, Kentucky, and encourage all citizens, businesses, public, private agencies, media, religious, and educational institutions to join in the week's activities and to work year-long to protect our community from the dangers of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. There we go.
Thank you for having
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's always good to see you. And we really appreciate all the hard work you do for so many good causes in Madison County. Okay, next on the agenda is Resolution 1217, Homeland Security Law Enforcement Protection Program. And this was a grant that Chief Cox and Cheryl worked on together, and it was kind of pretty tough because the funding was real low, but made a few calls and we were able to get, I don't think it gives the amount on here, but $26,000 for fire equipment for the fire station. And answer any questions you might have. It was very competitive, but we did get what they felt like was our portion of what they had to give out. And if there are no questions, I need court's permission, authorization to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Homeland Security Department and the state government for the grant for fire protection equipment.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Next on the agenda is the agreement with the Transportation Cabinet resurfacing various roads. This was just another thing that came up with the help of the governor. Rita was very involved in this, and so was the court in working this out, but we were able to obtain another $230,000 for various county roads here at the end of the year, and I'm going to try to hand carry this down. Don said, the commissioner said he'd hand carry it over to the secretary to get it signed, so we can go on and get these roads done this year instead of waiting until next year. You all got a copy of the agreement, I think, in your packets, didn't you, with the roads? Everybody okay with them? We tried to divide it up evenly amongst all 4 districts. If there are no questions, then a motion being ordered to authorize me to enter into this memorandum of understanding with the Department of Transportation in Frankfurt for the $230,000 for various county roads.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Judge report, a few things. Second Sunday, had a great turnout down there. It went really well. I think it's going to get bigger and bigger every year. Again, trick or treats October the 31st. That's from 6 to 8, and that'll go along with both cities. We just received word, Cheryl has been working with the Phase 2 Ag Development Committee, and we just received word through the Governor's Office of Agricultural Policy that we're going to receive $50,000 for a new deceased animal truck. So that was a big lick. That's one of the biggest grants that they hand out through that pool of money in the Phase 2 tobacco funding. So we were awarded $50,000, and we'll have some kind of deal a little bit later with the Ag 2 Development Board. But I just want to let everybody know that we did get that. The Farm City Banquet is always a big crowd. It's Monday, November 12th at 6:30, and Philip Seifert, our Director of Historic Properties, will be the speaker there, so that'll be an interesting meeting. And also, the Berea Chambers have an Industry Appreciation Lunch October 30th over at the Russell Action Folk Center from 11:30 to 1:30, and that's always a big turnout, and just about every industry they get up and they say a little bit about their, what they do and how things are going. So it's an interesting thing, and everybody's invited to do that. You need to call the chamber for tickets. That's all I have in the judge's report. Department heads. Michelle, you want?
Just want to let you know the judge asked me to get some numbers and figures for him about cost savings as far as the jail goes as their inmates. Since the inception of June, we have had 100, and up to this date, we have had 117 inmates on our monitors. All the 117 inmates together, total days, have spent 3,940 days on a monitor. At $50 a day at the jail rate, that would have cost the jail $197,000 to host those inmates inside their jail. Currently, we're holding 41 inmates on a monitor. I've got 2 more going on today. And just to let you know, as far as we go, we've got $19,000 in the bank, 41 currently on a monitor, 1 coming off today. But I know you were very interested in knowing what the numbers were projection-wise. So within little than 5 months, the jail has saved $197,000 at $50 a day for an inmate.
Okay. Where'd you come up with the 50 a day?
I believe that was what Doug was saying, and I have not been able to get a hold of him, and I was hoping he would be here today to restrict that. He's been quite busy this week. It's been kind of hard to get hold of him to confirm and nail down.
I don't think it's already that much. I think it's 32-something per diem per day that we get from the state if they're a state prisoner. But that's still excellent. Just keep up the good work. And y'all have any problems whatsoever?
No, sir, not at all. run into a hiccup here and there, but we seem to be working them out, but things are running a lot smoother now.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Any other department heads? Carl, Dwayne, do y'all have anything?
Sheriff?
If not, we'll go into comments from magistrates. Greg?
Just, can ask you later, but no, everything's going pretty good. Everything's doing good on my end. Appreciate the opportunity to get to serve, too. A lot of people, I know elections coming up for a lot, and everybody needs to get out and vote to make the difference and try to help in our community and support the process. And I'm glad, we got a 4-year term, get to serve 2 more for the people, so glad of that.
Thanks, Greg. Roger?
Just want to thank you for your help on the Jacks Creek Road. They got it blacktopped, and I think you was a big help on getting it all blacktopped instead of just part of it, so I appreciate what you're doing there. I think they still need to work on the guardrail part, and I think the bridge will probably be fixed by the blacktopping that they've done. But
They've got it scheduled and where the break is, and it's just when they can get to it, but that was part of the agreement.
that's about all I have.
Billy Ray?
I got a newsletter from the chamber the other day, and that emphasized the Kentucky's pension crisis, and it says Kentucky's financial conditions rank 47th in the country because of our massive state debt and unfunded pension liabilities. And bonding agencies have taken notice and downgraded Kentucky's bond rating. I mean, it's going to cost taxpayers more for projects. Well, so I was at the city commissioners, they had a forum, candidate forum the other night, and the moderator, Greg, was there. And the moderator, he asked a question that he asked, and it kind of, clicked with me. He said some counties and cities are combining functions under one roof and sharing resources. I believe he said Danville or Boyle County, if I'm not mistaken. For they're moving several departments under one roof and combining resources and achieving some sharing resources and achieving some efficiencies, and that kind of clicked with me. And I don't know, do we have anyone? Who do we have that can investigate that, Judge? That could go and see what they're doing, and is that something that's we should consider?
Well, I can kind of bring you up to date on what's going on in Frankfort, if you'd like, real quick. I was in a training session at CAECO when the Legislative Committee was meeting last week, and I sat in on it for about an hour, and it is a problem. The CERS, which is county retirement, is funded up, it's about 64% right now. What everybody, all the experts recommend is being at least 80% funded. I read an article the other day where there are 9 states that are way underfunded, and Kentucky's one of them. Of course, they're looking at the CERS and also the state's retirement, also along with the state police. A lot of people don't realize that the school bus drivers and the monitors and stuff come in on the county retirement system too. It's a lot of them. They don't make a lot of money, so it really doesn't impact it a lot. But what the Legislative Committee with CAECO is looking at is just a possibility is of asking the General Assembly to let the counties, the CERS, go out on their own, do a bond issue that would get us up to 80%, and they've got a formula worked out where over a period of 6 or 7 years, it would really let our rates go down. And it would put us up funded where where the counties would need to be from here on out. That's just one thing they're looking at. They're looking at some other things with the General Assembly. But the bottom line, I think, is, it's a bonding issue. And, of course, the state doesn't want to take on any more debt. But, this would be debt. Of course, the state would have to approve the bonds for the counties. But still, again, it would put us on our own, and where we could monitor it, we could get better rates. The states, I think they're around 25% funded in their system. So, with us and them both, and the state police and everything, it's about 50-something%. But county CERS is funded at about 63-64%. So we're not as bad as we could be. But take about $4 billion and bring that up to the 80% and set it up on a payment schedule. I'm not going to get into those numbers because they're kind of astronomical, but they could pay for it. So those are some of the things they're looking at. Now, what you talked about is like 2 or 3 counties, and the 2 cities are Madison County.
I'm not sure what they're doing in.
It really, Billy Ray,
Danville or Boyle County. I'm not sure what-
it doesn't affect what you pay in. I mean, it's a set rate in Atlanta, the city and the county. So by,
They pay into retirement?
yeah.
Yes.
So by combining them, you really don't gain anything because you're going to pay the same on each individual anyway.
I think what they were alluding to is that if you share resources, you can get efficiency with utilizing the people that you have and not having to hire additional people. And, you know, if you don't have to hire additional people, then the savings that you have would go to offset the retirement obligations because they're fixed. You got to pay them, and the money's got to come from somewhere.
I was reading the same thing that Judge was reading about, that right now they have to invest our money just the same way that they invest the KERS's money, which they have to do it certain ways because they are so much more in debt than we are. And if they brought us out, they would be able to invest it in better ways to make more money to get us back up there where we need to be.
Take us out there, be in worse shape though, won't they?
Well, they will. I mean,
That's what the problem.
seriously, that's the problem.
But our bonding would go through KCO.
Yes.
I mean, that's who would
Yeah,
handle
but the
it.
state would have to approve it, just like they do on our bonds.
Well-
But still, again, it would go through the Kentucky Association of Counties.
In my opinion, I'd trust KCO before I would what we got now as far as, I mean, they've done a fine job with KCO handling.
We got this, it's a spiral that's really not good because you got to keep hiring people to be able to contribute, because when people retire out and they're not contributing anymore, you got to keep hiring, but what the new hires are paying in, it's going to catch up with you sometime in the future, and there's a huge payday coming, and I think.
You know, in Billy Ray, they talk about switching over on new employees. This is what gets me, is switching on new employees to a contribution to a 401 plan for them. But that's fine, but then what happens when employees 20 years from now start retiring and nobody's being hired in the pension fund and there's no money? Right now, I think, it's kind of darned if you do,
Catch-22.
darned if you don't.
It's a
Yeah,
catch-22.
But CERS, their plan, if they could get that apart, they estimated their air rates, not Kentucky employees, but county employees' retirement, our rates would actually come down.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, but over the long run, we wouldn't keep this spiraling.
You know, where would we be
well,
in
like
5 or
they
6
predicted
years if we
before.
go like we are now? We couldn't be
Well,
better off.
right now, their project, of course, it ain't gonna happen. I mean, somebody's gonna have to address it, but the state fund runs out in 2019. So,
State's in bad shape.
It's ugly.
so anyway, I don't know if I answered your question or not,
Well,
but everybody's addressing it, and the General Assembly and the governor and everybody in Frankfurt knows that somebody's gotta do something, and they gotta do it. Can't wait till the last minute either.
I just say, if there's more efficient ways, if some other counties has found some ways to be more efficient with the tax dollars, and we can learn from them, to save, whatever money we save, it's gonna have to go pay for retirement.
Billy Ray, are you talking about what I've been preaching for 20 years, is combining a lot of offices?
Maybe, yeah,
Uh,
something like that.
GIS, IT, planning and zoning, you can just go on and on, planning and development, codes enforcement. I mean, you got everybody's got 3 or 4 offices with anywhere from 5 to 10 employees and the same equipment.
Yeah.
So it's gonna eventually come to that.
Yeah.
But it's a good idea, and you'd have a central location where everybody know where to come.
Yeah.
It'll come to that, I think, eventually. Of course, we have 2 cities that have got plenty of money. I don't know, will or not. But anyway, anybody in the audience like to approach the court? If not, motion be in order to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So move.
Second.
Master King?
Yes.
Master Barger?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes. Thank you, few who came in today. It's always a pleasure to see.
Hope you enjoyed the show.
But it was a good meeting.
Please come back.
Anytime we get money coming in with Blacktop and grants for the fire department and
Is it mine or yours, Mark?
motion,
Our next quarter.
we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I've got one on there, but I think Leroy mentioned to me that he was gonna do this.
No, we're doing 3/4.